yeah, when like the wire actually hit, like it was in my account. My dad's face. Oh my god, I remember my dad's face. He's like, wow. He's
Yeah.
like,
All right. What's up, guys? I'm joined here with my client, Matthew. Matthew is like literally, what are you, 21 years old now?
yeah, 21,
21 years old, ex-athlete. And this guy made, how much did you make in 3 months of closing?
40,000 US.
40,000 US. It's absolutely insane. But let's like take a full on backtrack, right? Because it's very important for everyone to know like where you started from, how'd you even get into closing, like what even happened, how did you even get to this point? So for starters, like I just want to know like a little bit more about your background, right? Because you're an athlete, I feel like a lot of people that are they're athletes are, they might be watching this because there's a saying that, athletes make great closers. So just real quick, give us a little bit more information on your background, and then we'll dive into like how exactly you even fell into this industry.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, I'm from Toronto, Canada. Obviously, like hockey is really big there, and
Yeah.
I was playing hockey like pretty much my whole life, like all the way up till I was 21, right? And that was kind of my life. That's all I did. That's all I put my time towards. And that's what I wanted to do, right? I wanted to go to school in the States. I wanted to play, hockey there, whether it be Division 1 or whatever, right? But unfortunately, with COVID and other things, and
Yeah.
I got a really bad shoulder injury, right? I was telling you about this,
Yeah.
where I dislocated my shoulder, um, tore my labrum, had to get all this surgery, and it basically put me. I mean, I haven't played hockey since that day,
Yeah.
right? Now it's been over a year and a half, right?
Yeah.
But basically, that happened right in the middle of the season, and then I was kind of, I had nothing to do anymore,
Yeah.
right? And so, like with all this free time, and I was in a sling, and so I kind of went online and started like, learning about, what I can do to actually like
Mm.
devote my time to. And I know I started off, I tried drop shipping in the past.
Yeah.
I kind of bought a program,
Yeah.
supposed to be some sort of mentorship,
Yeah.
and I was at it for quite a while, but I couldn't make it work.
Why do you think you couldn't make it work, by the way? Just out of curiosity. Like, why do you think like that didn't work for you specifically?
I'm gonna be honest, like I did put the work in. I want to say that it was a lot to do with the program. I actually,
Mm.
they didn't really give on their promise, right,
Right.
or deliver on what they were supposed to. Um, so yeah, that's really why I found I didn't succeed in that.
Okay. And then from there, what, what made you essentially like get into sales? How do we meet? Like, how did all that happen? Tell a story, man.
Yeah, well, I mean, although I didn't like actually succeed in job shipping and stuff like that, I also kind of learned that I didn't know if I necessarily wanted to work that way, right? Where I'm kind of just on my computer, very like to yourself, like
Right.
not speaking to people, right?
Right.
I was also working as like a server, right?
Mm.
And I don't know, I consider myself like relatively like personable, right? Like I
Right.
can
Well
talk to
spoken.
people, right? So that's when I kind of thought, well, maybe I'll get into sales, right?
Right.
At that point, I didn't even know what sales meant, like car sales, like
Yeah.
selling.
So you had already like made up the mind, like your mind in the sense of like, okay, I want to make money with sales, but you did not understand what high ticket remote sales was. So you had already made the decision that you want to make money with communication at that point, correct?
Yeah,
Okay, go ahead.
and that's when. So I guess because I was like looking up sales and stuff, I guess that's why
Yeah.
you looked up, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, I clicked on your ad, whatever, hit you up, and I think you even had to like. I still wasn't completely sure what high ticket sales
No, you
were.
weren't. You weren't.
I was
Yeah, it was
pretty
fun.
like I was pretty cold lead, I would say.
Dude, you're super cool. I remember I sent you a voice note and
Yeah,
like you're like talking about your friend. I was like, why is he talking about his friend? You're like, yeah, my friend, like he was telling me about this, but honestly, I sound like I don't want to waste your time. And then I was like, hey, bro, like just get on anyway. And then I sent you a video to check out. And then I remember like you hopped on the call and you're like, yeah, like I talked to like, five of your competitors. Like, was that even true, by the way? Like now that like, we've moved on, did you like even talk to
no,
any
no,
competitors?
no, I did. I talked to some people, but like
Yeah.
nothing I was serious about.
Right. Right.
Yeah, I did hop on a couple calls, um, before I hopped on your call, but still like wasn't like too sure what it was. That's why I came into the call pretty cold.
Yeah.
To be honest, I came to the call and I'm like, I'm not buying from this guy.
Yo, it was so funny. It's like, guys, like I remember Matthew was like in his car, and that sales call took like an hour and like 30 minutes or something. It was wild. easily one of the most difficult sales calls I've ever taken, bro. You made me work, right? And like, yeah, like, dude, it was so funny because as the call's going on, you go, you're like, hey man, like you gotta alter like the grooming form, you gotta make it perfect for me, this, that, this, and like I was down for all that because I just saw you in the sense of like that this is a kid that just like he wants to make it work, and I had so much respect for you on that. Now I want to push a little bit more on that because like when you try to get into dropshipping, it didn't work out. You spent a lot of fucking money on. How much money did you spend on that?
I think in total it was like 8,000, something
Yeah,
like that.
which is that's a lot of money, right?
Yeah.
So most people when they spend 8K and like it just doesn't work for them, they give up. And I don't think that they're like soft for that. It's like that's a lot of money, but with you, you didn't. And I asked you that question on the call, and like I want to still ask the question now. Like, what was going on in your mind when you had lost that much money? Like, why did you think, you know what, fuck it, like this sucks. I lost a lot of money, but I still want to figure something out. Like, what made you have that positive mindset where you were like, I still need to do something?
Yeah. I mean, not that like I didn't care, right? Because I obviously cared, man. Like I,
Yeah.
it's,
Yeah, of course. It's a lot of
but
money. Yeah.
it's still a lot of money. Like,
Yeah.
but I just I kind of always had this mindset where it's like, even if this didn't work out, right? Like, um, I was able to build up the funds where then I can educate myself on a skill, right? And because I knew like this side of it, I knew that this stuff is possible, right?
Right.
That you can't make more than $20 an hour, let's say.
Right.
Right?
Right.
So for me, yes, it sucked. Did I wish it worked out? Yes, right.
Yes.
But when it didn't, right, at that point, like I was just gonna keep on going, right? Like on to the next, right? That didn't work. Okay, on to the next, right?
Right.
And I think that also, taught me something as well, taught me a little bit about myself and like
Yeah.
how I actually like to work as well.
Yeah.
So yes, it sucked. I try to think of it as a learning experience, but
Yeah.
definitely would nice to keep that money
Right.
for sure.
And where do you think that mindset stems from? Right. Because I know that when it comes to being an athlete, a lot of this is instilled at an early age. So do you feel like that mindset more so came from you just having a lengthy sports background?
Yeah, I mean, in sports, I think sports is a lot like sales in the sense
Yeah,
where
it
like
is. Yep.
when you're working on a team, right? But at
Mhm.
the end of the day, like you still want to perform at your best potential,
Yep.
right? You still want to be, the best, right?
Exactly.
But you also want to see the people around you win, right? So I
Yeah.
think just that internal like drive to be, better and to be kind of the best version of yourself, whether it's in sports or business or whatever that it is. I think that's what kind of, pushed me to just kind of keep on going and, you
Yeah.
know, kind of become, the person or in the financial position I would like to be.
Yeah. And speaking on that, like you got results pretty fast. Like you first started off as an appointment setter, but you did so well that they promoted you like 3 weeks in, right? And then so you did setting for about 3 weeks. And how much did you make as a setter initially?
A setter, I made about, I think it was like 5K in those three
Yeah,
weeks.
like 5K, which you were already one of the top performing setters in the company right away, right? Then immediately they promoted you to closer. And one more thing that I noticed about you, by the way, is like when you came into this, you had no ego and you were super coachable, like very coachable. Like whereas a lot of people when they come in, sometimes they have a little bit of egos, or sometimes like they're not the most coachable people. But again, this stems back to I believe like the fact that you played hockey for so long. You were used to working with people. You were used to working in a team. You were used to being coached. And I remember in the beginning, like you just asked me a ton of questions, and you propelled really fast, and you weren't making excuses either, and your work ethic was fucking crazy. I remember like in the beginning, because the company that we placed you in, right? Obviously, we're not going to say their name, but now that company is a freaking 8-figure business, and like when you joined, they were like this, right? So
Yeah.
they needed people that were committed that could work long hours, and you didn't really ever complain. Like you were just like, hey, like, I sound like, is this normal? Like I feel a bit tired, but is this normal? And I was like, yeah. And you're like, all right, cool, man. I'm not making excuses. And I was like, yeah, no, I get that. And it's like you had this like positive mindset. And like I want you to like, talk to me about that in the sense of like even when things went hard, like how did you continue to move forward? Because I know that a lot of people watching this, they might feel like that right now, right? Where like, when things go very, very hard, they get stressed, they just want to quit. But you didn't quit. So like I want you to expand on that initially, like how you had that strong mindset and how you kept moving forward and how that led you to becoming the person you are now, where you made freaking 40 grand in 3 months of closing.
I think it just really comes back to just kind of knowing what I want and where I want it to be, right?
Mm,
And nothing was kind of like, get in my way to get there,
mm,
right?
yeah.
Same reason why, with the drop shipping, right? I kind of put that aside and kept going, right? When things kind of got a little bit tough, in this aspect, like, I knew the possibility, like, I can make, 20K a month, let's say.
Yeah.
And, just because things are hard now, if I keep pushing forward, then I know that I can get there.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm not gonna lie, like, you even, when I was feeling like a little bit like, hey, is it normal? I'm working all these hours, like,
Yeah.
you were there to kind of just honestly give me that little nudge to like, hey, like,
Yeah.
keep going, things are gonna get better. And
Yeah.
that helped,
Exactly.
right?
Exactly. Cause like, cause it's like, I wanted you to understand that it was complete normal, that like what you were doing was okay. Like it all made sense. Cause like one thing about you as well is like, you're not from this industry, right? It's like a lot of people sometimes like, they'll run an agency, or like they'll run a successful dropshipping store. And then like maybe they'll segue into sales. And it's like, they've been around the industry. You are a complete stranger. So
Yeah.
this is where like, I have like a lot of fun questions I want to ask you. I remember like on our sales call initially, like when I was onboarding you at the end, I was like, one thing that might happen is like when you start making a lot of money, like like it's gonna be very confusing because you're gonna be like, how is this happening? And like, why am I making so much money? You might even get a little bit of imposter syndrome. And I was like, people around you might even treat you a bit different, and you're gonna have to just stay like very, very like level headed because you're a young kid as well. So I was like, when you do make a lot of money, just like do your best to stay like humble, which you did a very good job at. But I more so want to talk about like what kind of change happened when you started making the money and like where your life was before as well.
Yeah. I mean, so like I said, I was serving before, like if I ever needed like money, I would serve, right? And
Mm,
I wasn't making terrible money. Like I probably make like $1,000 a week, right?
mm.
But now you start closing, it's like you're sometimes
Yeah.
making like over $1,000 a day, right?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
really put that into perspective when it's like, I just worked 5 hour or 5 days for like 8, 9 hours, and then it's just like,
Mm,
you take one call and you made $1,000 in one call. Like
exactly.
it really gets put into perspective for you,
Yeah.
and it becomes real, right? Like
Mm,
those kind of goals, and where I want it to be, like it actually becomes real. It's a very like surreal feeling,
exactly.
right?
Because you don't come from money, right? I don't think your parents are like millionaires or anything.
No.
Yeah. So it's like, normal, normal family. And like even your friends, like I don't think you have like crazy rich friends. It's just like a normal friend circle. So this is why like I wanted to ask you, like did it kind of feel a bit odd? Because personally, like myself, when I started making 10, 20K a month with closing, I felt very odd because like my friends started treating me a lot different. Where like they put me in a pedestal, and like in the beginning it felt good, and then after I was like, man, like this just like I just want to be like the old times. Like I don't want like it's just kind of creates this weird rift. Like anytime we'd go for dinner, I was just be covering it, and it just kind of felt a little odd. You know what I mean? And like even like my siblings and my parents, like I started getting treated a little bit nicer, and like it just kind of made me feel a bit weird because they were just so proud of me. But I kind of just like I was sick of it. I was like, I just want things to be normal. I just want to feel normal. So I'm curious, like, what happened with you? Like, did your friends even know how much you were making? I mean, I was immature, and I started flexing to my friends how much I was making because like, I had like this big chip on my shoulder. I'm curious about you, like when you did start making this much money, what was the reaction of your parents and the reaction of your friends? Like, did they know that you're fucking printing? Like, talk to me about that.
Um, well, I guess I'll start with like my friends, right?
Yeah.
To be honest, like I didn't like, go and like tell everyone exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. Smart.
More of my closer friends, like, I was proud of it too as well, right? Like I wanted to tell them, like they knew I was kind of, working on this, and they knew like, I tried drop shipping, and like, I never really had like a steady job, right? So
Yeah.
when I did
Yeah.
start making money, like I told like my close friends, like, hey, like, this is what I'm doing, like it's actually
Yeah.
working, whatever, right?
Yeah.
And honestly, like I don't think they really treated me differently.
Yeah.
Um, I think they were just mind blown. They didn't believe it, right?
Like, yo, this guy's capping.
They still don't believe it.
Show the bank account.
They're like, I know. They're like, what are you doing? What are you doing? No,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's Photoshop, whatever. Right.
Yeah.
But no, ultimately, like, even for my friends, like I was trying to, I think I was telling you, like trying to get a
Yeah.
couple of them good, and
Yeah.
uh, try to help them out, right? But yeah, that's been good. Just they were a little bit shocked, didn't
Yeah.
really, right? Because
Speaking on that though, real quick, it's very interesting because like when I was broke and then I started making money, I was like, man, like when I tell my friends about what I'm doing, they're gonna all want to do it. But it's like that's not how it works because you got to this point because the person that you are. Like when you were not making that much money and you had to spend money on like these programs, like it takes a special type of person to do that, right? So it's like in your friend circle, even though you're making a ton of money, it doesn't mean they're gonna also want to spend that money,
yeah,
right? Like
Yeah.
People don't take action just because their close friend circle is taking action, which is very interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I had a job, right? I can go serve. Like, it's not like I was, on the street. But
Mm,
yeah, I taken that same risk multiple times, just because, like, I wasn't gonna stop until I got there, right?
right.
But yeah, I guess to kind of touch on my parents, they're a little bit more skeptical. What are you
Yeah.
doing in your room over
Yeah.
there? Like, um, and obviously, like, you got to wait whatever a month till the wire actually hits, right?
Of course. Yeah.
They're more of like, I'll believe it when I see it type of thing.
They're probably thinking like, we hope you're not getting taken advantage of,
Yeah, so honestly, exactly, yeah.
there's like a fucking there's like a bunch of pyramid schemes out there, not in sales, like just in general. And like you always see, bro, people that went to high school, they always fall for it and then DM us on IG and Facebook, they're trying to recruit us. And it's like, yeah, like people are aware of it now. So I bet your parents were just thinking like, fuck, like we hope Matthew's not like falling for something where he had to pay and like, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
especially me. Like, they know what happened with the drop chain where I spent
exactly.
8,000 back.
Exactly.
They're probably thinking, oh, here Matthew goes again, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, when like the wire actually hit, like, it was in my account.
Yeah. It showed them, right? You're like, yeah, look.
My dad's face. Oh my god, I remember my dad's face. Like, he's like, wow. It's
Yeah.
like,
That was wild, right? Because yo, you're making more than your parents now at this point, aren't you?
well, yeah, I guess.
That's fucked, right? Like you're 21 and you're making more than your parents. Like it's probably a crazy feeling because you're like, holy shit. But also, this is what I also wanted to ask you, like at this point in time, because your perception on money has completely changed. And now you know that all this is possible. So I mean, like, what are like the next goals you have in mind? Like, because now it's like retiring your parents in the next couple of years is very possible. It's very doable. Like you can make these plays now, right? With the amount of money that you're making, you save it, you can buy a business, you can invest in real estate. Like these things are now possible because you need money for that. It's like how like what are some of the goals that you have in mind? Like where do you see yourself in the next few years? Like what's the goal here, man?
Yeah, no, that's actually a great thing to say, because, like, yes, it is amazing that you can make this money, but even though I've been doing it for a short period of time, like I was telling you before, like, you do like become numb to it, right?
Exactly.
Now you are surrounded with a bunch of people that are making
Yeah.
money, and so it's like, you see that it's possible, and now you want to take that next step, right? You
Exactly.
want to make a little bit more money, maybe do it in a way where you get better at sales. You can maybe take a
Yeah.
little less calls, have some more time for yourself, right?
Yep.
So you do kind of want to keep progressing, right?
Yep.
But yeah, right now, like I was telling you before, I'm really just saving a lot of it.
Yeah.
I think I want to buy, like, a piece of property, real estate,
Nice.
probably
Smart man.
at least get into the market, right, as early as
Smart man.
possible. So that's kind of like my main goal right now. Obviously, in terms of like monthly income, I want to keep on progressing, right? I don't want to,
Yeah.
stay stagnant.
Yep.
Haven't
Another thing
really,
as well is like, how important do you think environment is when it comes to like becoming successful? Because with you, it's like, number one, like in our community, we have like, I think like 15, 16 people that are making over 10K a month consistently in commissions. The company that you work at, the founder is a multimillionaire. Your head of sales is a multimillionaire. And like the guys are in your team, your division, they're some of the most elite closers in the space.
yeah,
So like, what did that more so do for your mindset? Like, did it more so normalize everything? And like, what did it do for your standards as well? When you were like, fuck, like I'm surrounded around such smart, incredible people. They're so good at what they do. Because it's one thing where it's like you're just by yourself and like there's no one there,
yeah,
right? But it's another thing when it's like everyone around you is so good at what they do and they're all crushing it as well. So like, talk to me about like how important environment was for you in that sense.
yeah. It's super important, and I think it's very important, especially when you're new,
Yeah.
to recognize the people that are doing well and why they're doing well,
Mm.
and absorb what you can from them, right?
Yeah.
Don't go up to them and be like, hey, tell me exactly what you do. But yeah, like, I mean, absorb everything you can, right?
Mm.
Because there's always going to be someone that is maybe a little bit more experienced, a little bit better than you. And so kind of put your ego aside and say, hey, like, I can learn from this guy, right? I can
Right.
learn if he does things. And I mean, the more you learn, the better you'll get, and the faster you'll proceed, I guess.
Awesome. Awesome. And also just like kind of wrap things up a little bit, man. Like, how was your like experience in the program? Like from start to end? Because it's like now like you're crushing it, things are going great. But like if you look back from like when you first got started to like now the man that you've now become, how was that experience and how was that trajectory essentially?
Yeah, I mean, it's probably just like this, right?
Mhm.
I mean, I got placed like super super quick. went to
Yeah.
set it. You know, when you start closing, it's always cool to announce it in like the Discord community.
Yeah. Yeah. And we have
Everyone,
the rankings as well, where like
oh
your
yeah,
color
yeah,
changes, right? Yeah.
yeah. It's such a little thing, but just like you want to see it. You want to see that color
Yeah.
change, and
Yeah.
cool. Everyone's typing each other up in the community, right? When people get sales pissed and stuff like that, like everyone's always
Mm.
active and keeping each other accountable as well.
Yeah.
Uh, so community's awesome. Everything's been awesome from the start to now, right? I've developed
Mhm.
even like even some good like relationships along the way, right?
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah,
Awesome.
everything's been awesome.
Cool, man. So, I mean, what is your message to the person that's watching this that was just like you? Because I feel like there's a lot of Matthews watching this, guys that like, come from sports backgrounds, or maybe they're just like normal people, there's, work as waiters, young guys that are just like, fuck, like, I don't know what to do. I want to make money, but like, I don't know if I can even do this. Because in the beginning, like self-doubt, like that's the one thing that can just crush you entirely. And like you had that too, but you conquered it. So what's your message for like that one person that's watching this video who was in your exact same shoes, who wants to make a change, but he's just very, very scared and just looking for some advice?
Yeah. I would just say like basically it's real, it's possible, like you can get there. It might, you might get a little bit rough before it gets better,
Mhm.
right? But ultimately, if you just keep pushing through and you kind of just put your head down and keep going, like you will get there, right? Like you will get there and it is possible and you will get to your goal.
Awesome. Awesome. So yeah, guys, with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this interview, and we'll see you in the next one, guys.